Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So a warrior never stops training. You know why? Because you never know when you step out of that house or when you wake up the next morning if some kind of fucked up shit's gonna happen. We don't know. Fucked up shit's gonna happen. I don't care where you are in your life. You could think you got it made. Something's gonna go bad. It always does. And I'm not trying to be doom and gloom. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not wishing anything upon anybody. But we know that people don't last forever. Your parents may die off at some point. Your dog might die. You might get fired from your job or laid off. You never know. And the trick is to not try to live a life that has no bumps in the road. I mean, it's nice to have a drama-free lifestyle, and I suggest that be people's goals. But even if you're the most drama-free, even-keeled person, you have to be ready for the bad times. We all do. The bad times are going to show you how strong you really are. All this practice that you do is going to be tested on those days. And if you're not training in any kind of way, mentally and physically, if you're not on a mind, body, and soul program at all, the bad times are going to break you. You'll be lucky to survive. They're going to fuck you up. You're going to end up traumatized, triggered. We can't live our lives having such major blows go to us like that every time something bad happens. We want to be able to not just survive the storm barely, but to thrive through the bad times just like we do through the good. Nothing can shake us. So a warrior trains year-round. They never stop training. This happened to me. I've been down this road before of personal growth, of healing myself. I started 20 years ago when I went sober, February 13th, 2000. I did everything I could to get over depression, get over anxiety, build myself stronger, get out of my comfort zone. You know, everything. I was going to the gym, I was going to church, I was reading a lot, reading 2 books at a time. And as my life started to get better, and I had more and more victories, I started to kind of plateau with my practice. Kind of like a championship boxer. Like in those Rocky movies where Rocky starts off hungry. He's drinking raw eggs and going on jogs at 3 in the morning and training like a madman. He's got the eye of the tiger, like that stupid song they used to play on the radio all the time. It was from that movie. And then by like the 3rd movie, Rocky had already won the belt. He became a millionaire. And his training kind of fell to the roadside. He was more focused on just living this life of luxury. When we chase too much pleasure, and I've talked about this before, it's a common concept. I didn't invent it, but I like to promote it. We chase too much pleasure, we become soft. So then Rocky had his next championship bout, and he gets beat because he was fighting against somebody who was training like he used to, somebody who was hungry. And Rocky was no longer hungry. That happened to me. And as I got more successful, started more businesses and covered a lot of different bases in my life that I felt like were weak points and fulfilled those as best as I could, I kind of let some of my training go. I stopped going to the gym as much and I became weaker. My body started to deteriorate. And I didn't really seem to care because I wasn't being tested. And then all of a sudden I started to get sick. Doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. They just kept telling me things like, well, for some reason you just have a really weak immune system. It was like one thing after another, like a piece of shit car that breaks down all the time. That's the way I felt like what was happening to me. This was just a couple years ago. I went to the emergency room, 3 times in 1 week. That's no fun. I'd spend a good 5 or 6 nights a week telling people, no, I can't go to dinner, I can't go to the movies, putting off dates, putting off things to do, taking off of work, just because I wouldn't feel good. My mentality started to go. I started to get angry. I started to feel like my craziness that I used to have when I was younger, that I got over, the stuff that I fought so hard to get over 20 years ago started to come back. It all started to come back, every bit of it. The only thing that I maintained a pretty strong willpower with was the addictions. I didn't start drinking again. I haven't relapsed ever since I went sober. But a lot of my other problems started to come back. And this was just like Rocky in those movies where he was doing well. You look on the outside, this guy's got it made. I felt like, I'm doing better than I ever have. But I lost that eye of the tiger. I stopped training so hard. I felt like I had things under control, and it turns out I didn't. I was just getting weaker and weaker as time went on. That warrior mentality of mine had gone. I became soft. And all it took was a hard time, like the downturn of the economy, this lockdown. All it took was that to really show it to me, because the lockdown screwed up the economy locally here, especially in the motorcycle industry. Everybody from the dealerships on down were struggling. A lot of businesses went under. People closed down their shops. I was stuck with thinking about, what can I do? I need to start another business. I need to figure something out here. And that's when all that shit started to come back. Found a weak point like a weak link in the chain. I was going through a rough time. And my true weakness came out because I hadn't been training. The mind, body, and soul program that I was so dedicated to just wasn't there. That regiment wasn't there. And all these various areas turned out to kind of slide backwards. I slid backwards and I just became weaker. What got me back on track, now scratch that. Because when you say back on track, I think of, like, say for example, when you're driving along the highway and you're going to your destination, maybe you're traveling interstate. You're gonna go across country. And all you do is you get off at the rest stop and then you get back on the same road. I didn't just get back on track with my mind, body, and soul program. I propelled forward in ways that I never knew possible. In some ways, I'm thankful that I started to slip, because it showed me that I wasn't training hard enough, or at all in some areas. Now I'm on top of my game, my program, every single day, 7 days a week. I take that as serious as a heart attack. I'm making strides towards every day to try to become stronger in multiple areas of personal growth, personal development. And that didn't just put me back on track. That would have been nice. That's what I was going for. I just figured if I could get back on track where I was 20 years ago or 10 years ago, then I'd be good. Now, through daily discipline, I started to propel myself forward by leaps and bounds, further than I could ever imagine. Things are going better for me now than they ever have in my entire life. I'm smarter, I'm more mentally strong, I'm more confident, I have more physical strength, my immune system has come back. I don't get sick at all. I'm healthier than I've ever been. I just went through the blood tests and went to the doctor for my yearly checkup, and he was just like, wow, you're looking great. I turned my whole life around and propelled myself forward. I just started a new business just in the last few months. I've written 3 books over the last year and a half. I've done things that I never thought possible, and all it took was for me to recognize that I wasn't training hard enough and to start training harder. So that's the whole point of the video. Don't ever give up that eye of the tiger. Don't ever give up that hunger. Don't ever seek so much pleasure that you become soft. Stay hungry. Train every single day, no matter what, because even if it's a good day, a good week, a good month, a good 6 months, train like it's getting ready to happen tomorrow. Like the worst shit could go down, because you want to be able to thrive through the bad times. Bad shit's always going to happen. And it doesn't have to make us take a step backwards in life. We don't have to become soft just because we've had a couple victories. I don't care if you win the lottery and become a millionaire. Train like you're hungry and poor. Thanks for watching.